Yo, 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 what is going on, everyone? It's been a while. Welcome back to another episode of A Gamer's Opinion here on YouTube. It's your host, Aliens. I'm accompanied tonight by my good friend, Seth, aka Corporate Doom. Seth, what's going on, bro? How you been, man?
Hey man, how's it going? I'm doing pretty good. Another day, another dollar.
Yeah.
Just doing things, staying alive.
Yeah,
Thanks for
breezing.
having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, of course, man. It's good to have you back. You know, normal, regular staple on the show. And we got some things to talk about. It's been a while, but some things that you know are games and situations that catch our attention and games that we're fans of. Some things going on that we feel a certain way about, and we want to go ahead and address how we feel. So we want to go ahead and share our opinion with everyone here, see if anyone feels the same way that we do. We believe that there is a good chance people may. So let's get to it. So first of all, we're gonna start with Doom: The Dark Ages. Now, Seth, you were the one that showed me this earlier today. Tell me about what you see, what you think about the promotional material that Bethesda's doing for this new Doom game, bro.
Oh man, I don't know. I feel kind of like I don't know. I feel that that you get that gut feeling that something is not right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's cool. They got controllers, they got all the skins and all that stuff. I mean, they before that they had the helmet right with the little lights on it and stuff. But you notice one thing that bugs me out. They don't really have a lot of gameplay. They've been showing like the same stuff, right? Like the R, the same thing. Like, oh, there's a Revenant right there. It's a skeleton now, Grim Reaper. But, bro, we've seen that already. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the I guess the merchant is kind of okay. I mean, the controller that's great. It's probably I don't know. Maybe it's already still sold out. Probably, but maybe it's sold out already. They're probably gonna see it on eBay for like a couple of $100. But I don't know. I don't really care for the controller. I wish they did it the other way around. I wish the green one was the elite controller, and then the red one would have been the basic. But they did it the opposite, I guess. So you have to buy both, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
force the person to buy both, because if you don't buy the green one, you won't get the Easter egg that's behind the battery. I think that's what Hugo Martin said in his video. That we have an Easter egg, but we won't tell you until you buy it.
Oh, so
Like,
you don't know, nobody knows what it is until you actually buy it. Then.
right, it's probably some sticker or some logo. It's behind the battery with the battery packet. I guess you take it out, and I guess it's
Oh,
behind there.
you know what it's probably gonna be? It's probably gonna be like a
Mm.
fucking like a
A
code.
redeem code? Oh, yes, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, I didn't think of that. That's right. It could be a redeem code for some little skin or something.
Yeah. It could be a redeem code because you could fit it back there. It's gonna look like a serial number.
Yeah, that's true. That could be it. Cause he was like, "Yeah, we can't show it to you guys yet, until you get it, like whatever, bro."
I don't know, man. Like that Hugo guy, man. I'm not sold on his idea of what he wants to do for this game. Like, I don't know, man. Like
Yeah.
Doom. I think Doom is a kind of game that if you have it available now for this current gen, like you could and you do it well, like it could be really appealing. I think a lot of people would be interested in, the mechanics, right? The first person shooter, how fast it normally is, and how challenging it could be. But I think, with what they've done, with the melee, I don't know, man. Like it's still Doom, but it changes the way you want to approach the game. I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think absolutely. I think what they're doing is they ran out of. This is how I feel. I mean, other people might think otherwise, but this is just my opinion. I think they ran out of ideas and they tried to make it cross quarter. I mean, they had nothing else, right? We already did like they said, right? They did the shooting or mid range, then they did the acrobatics, and now they want to just cover melee and stuff because like I guess they have nothing else to do. I mean, they always talk about being innovation, right? They always say, "Oh, we want to be innovative," But the problem is, I think in a way, they're kind of forcing the players for you to play the game how they want you to play it. You know what I'm saying? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, some people, and that's the thing. You can't really take what these other cats like. There's, we looked at, we joked about these other YouTubers, these other content creators that they went and they already played the game, and some of them are already saying, they're trying to sugarcoat it because they got invited, but then they still say what the main problem is like the whole thing is repetitive in the end, like the main part of the game that you're supposed to do gets repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like how do you mess that up, right? You just all they had to do was just increase, I guess, make it more violent, I guess, in a way. But
Or just
I mean, I don't know,
more enemies on screen.
more enemies, right? More serious Sam, I guess, throw more stuff at you.
Yeah.
But I think that the way they're taking it to force you to do like this melee type thing, close to like short mid range or whatever they're trying to do. I don't know. I don't really like it. It's not like my thing. It looks pretty, I guess. I mean, the graphical. I mean, it looks cool, I guess. But I don't know. The whole Hexen theme, I'm not really a fan of it. I was never even a fan of Hexen to begin with. So,
Mm-hmm.
or I mean, and then the backpedaling too. That's the thing that people don't talk about. They talk about that you're gonna have to backpedal the game. It's not like like A to B. And I guess some people might think, well, that increases the longevity of the game, but yeah, but the reason they're doing that is because you have to unlock perks. You have to farm for gold, and then you
Mm-hmm.
go unlock some ability so you can get to the next level, or to make it easier to get to the next area or whatever. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
I
yeah. There's
mean,
gonna be like probably remember how in a way Castlevania had certain things that you needed to have certain um ability so you can go and progress, like how they had the
yep.
mist or whatever, that you needed a certain ability so you can go ahead
Mhm.
and go to this area, even if it wasn't necessarily story related. At least there was something good there that you wanted to get,
Right.
that'll
Right.
help you on your journey. So I think that's what they're probably gonna do, man. Like a lot of that stuff, because they're definitely gonna do that. They said that there's gonna be a lot of backtracking in this game,
Mhm.
right? Like you said, and the reason they're gonna do that is because there's gonna be a lot of good stuff that you're gonna want to go back to get. So they're gonna do that to try to entice people, right, to actually play the game more than once, right? They want you to
Mhm.
play it at least minimum 3 times, perhaps, right? First
Yeah.
time, you get familiar with the game, explore it a little bit, try to get as much as you can while you're still playing the game. You don't want to grind it too bad, or too much, because you don't want to overexert yourself on your first run. Like, you could try to do that if you want to play like on the hardest difficulty at first, get some things out of the way, but you might eventually get a little burnt out at some point. It'll just be too cheesy, perhaps, right? Like the game would just probably be cheap for a while. So
Right. Yeah.
you may
Yeah.
start at normal, get familiar, start unlocking some stuff, and if it'll let you take that on to the next difficulty, then you apply what you have and start working on that and go backtrack and unlock more stuff, because the things that you're going to unlock, you're going to need it for the harder difficulties.
Mhm.
That's what they're going to do. And I think it's fine in a way for people that want to go and grind the game so they can beat the game on the harder difficulty, so they can then say that, hey, I beat Doom the Dark Ages on the hardest difficulty that you could play.
Mhm.
But how many people are really going to do that? And what benefit do you really have as a gamer, especially in this age, right? People that do that. What we're doing right now. We're on YouTube talking about the games. There's other people on other platforms and here as well. Streaming it. So are people really going to watch someone grind that game to try to beat the game on the hardest difficulty? There may be, right? But
Yeah.
it
Yeah. They have they have the little group, like those what do you call those guys? Those speed runner guys. You have all this stuff that they want to go through it and show all that stuff. I mean, but then once you see it once, how many times you want to see it again, right? Like, oh, this guy did it, then another guy's gonna do it. All these completionist guys. But I think how they're doing it is, I think they're forcing you just to play the game, just to put it down. I think the honeymoon phase for this game will be a lot like sooner than the usual 2 to 3 months.
yeah,
I think it's gonna be like maybe a month, and maybe maximum a month and a half, and then people are gonna start like talking about it negatively. I think for PC it might last a bit longer due to mods. That's what. But I can tell you for
yeah,
console and stuff, I'll say that it'll be dead pretty quick. I think people will just beat it, move on. I think the problem is a lot of the people that back the game up is kind of like, remember, like the Destiny phase, right? Like, some people, and I like Destiny, when it first came out, I thought that it was amazing, but then the way the project was going and stuff, they started doing goofier and goofier stuff, and that's what they're kind of doing with Doom as well. You know, like I think they're getting to a point that they're running out of ideas, and you know, they know people are just buying it based because of the brand, right? They're
Right.
not
The
buying it because
nostalgia
of
too.
the nostalgia, right? Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, look, even the whole dragon thing, people were complaining saying that it sucks because it's like there's no point of doing the dragon stuff. So and remember, Hugo was like, "Yeah, man, you know, you write this dragon, you do all this crazy stuff." But in the end of the day, right? You know, people were complaining that those who already played it, they were like, "Yeah, it kind of sucks. You know, it's kind of bland. You know, he just doesn't do much." I think people like the Mac thing, but to me, the Mac thing looks kind of boring. To me, it does, man. I don't really care for it. I mean, it might look cool the first time, maybe, you know, look great. You know, he does like a Hadouken with one hand, like the Dan Hadouken with one
Mm-hmm.
hand or something. But it's like, man, I don't know. I just don't care for that, man. I want to see a BFG. I want to see like, you know, regular gunfight play, you know, that kind of stuff. That's why I liked Eternal. I don't know, man. I mean, some people hated it, but I like 2016. I like Internal. Those were good. This one is kind of, I don't know. This one just gives me like a weird vibe, man. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because maybe it gives me like PTSD from like Hexen days and something because the whole,
Yeah.
you know, walking back and all that nonsense and all that. Like, oh, you know,
I'm actually gonna play
it's
the
just
trailer
daunting.
on the screen right now
Yeah,
for
yeah.
people that probably aren't aware of what we're talking about. Yeah, the game, it's got definitely got that medieval vibe. Um, it's very
Yeah,
rugged.
that the gothic vibe, right? Like a
Yeah,
gothic type thing.
yeah, and it's very rugged. I expect it to be violent, of course, because it's Doom. But like you said, with the Hexen vibe.
Yeah, yeah. Give me. I mean, like, yo, if they introduce maybe like heretic or something, I'd be kind of like, wow, that they actually did it, right? But I don't. I know they're not gonna do it. I was really hoping that somehow, and I don't know why. I actually thought that they would probably like, you know, be ballsy and introduce like maybe Quake. You know, maybe you see like a little bit of like some, I don't know, ranger stuff, like, you know, because look at his weapons, man. They kind of look like Quake weapons, some of them, right? So I kind of thought like, yo, maybe they're gonna do it. But I don't know. I don't think so. I think I think they're gonna pull some dumb, silly thing and do something goofy. I think something stupid. I think I
There's
don't
a
know.
lot of fantasy involved in this game.
Yeah,
A lot of fantasy elements. I feel. Like I feel
yeah,
like the
yeah,
other ones were more not necessarily realistic, but more I don't want to say soldier vibe-ish, but like it just felt more like you were picking up weapons, you know, that were created in some sort of lab, like futuristic lab to fight these guys. And going back, like you see the shotgun, the skull one, right? So like when you see that, like it's like a magic weapon.
yeah. The Skull Crusher, whatever the heck it's called. Yeah, yeah. It's supposed to be. They're saying that I think there's some doofus said it was a power weapon. So I was like, that's a power weapon.
I mean, it
Ugh,
might have a
I don't
power
like it.
weapon effect, right? But when I
Yeah.
look at things like that, it looks to me like a magic weapon.
Yeah, I don't like it, dude. I'll be honest with you, dude. Like when I saw it, like people were hyping it up, dude, bro. To me, that weapon, and to me, just that's just my opinion. I think it looks like trash. I'm telling you right now, I don't like it. I think it looks corny, but
Like
people like it. You know, people love it. They're like, oh, the skulls, you know, it's crushing the skulls, and you know, the shrapnel of the skull. Like, bro, I don't know, man. To me, that
I
looks
think it's trying.
stupid.
I think it does too much, right? I think sometimes there's a verbiage that people use. It's called "keep it simple." Keep it simple,
Hmm.
stupid, right? So
Hmm.
like right now, like on screen, I have like I think this is probably looks like the rocket launcher, perhaps, right? So like this looks pretty dope. It's industrial looking a little bit. It kind of fits the time because it's so bulky. So I think that's fine. But when it comes to like a mechanical skull thing, like it looks, it's kind of like it's got like a futuristic mechanical, like a futuristic um magical vibe. Like I have it on the screen right now, right? And like it's got all these skulls around it. It's like built around skulls. So like when you think about that, like you get the impression of a magic weapon, right? When you
Right.
have when a weapon like that or any weapon normally is themed, it's like a magic weapon, right? Like a
Yeah.
heralded weapon or something like that, right? So like
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like maybe that's what they're gonna be doing. Like there's gonna be more magic weapons into the game, like games that like weapons that are gonna be doing animations like crushing the skull so that it can shoot out the pellets, right? But it's gonna have like a magic effect, perhaps, right? Because like think about it, man. Like how are they making this 10,000 BC or whatever? You know, like what in the past where this takes place, right? Like how are they even making that? Like it has to be magic, right? Because they may not even have the technology for that. Because look at everything around them, bro. Look at the whole environment around them. Look at the picture. Do you see any fucking street lights or some shit? No, bro. You see fucking rocks. You understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
yeah, but I don't think, bro. I don't think it takes place on Earth. I think it takes place in that Ard Denor or whatever, that stupid land they're from. Those Knights Sentinel guys. I think
mhm,
that's in their world because this takes place when that dude, after he gets captured, like the story when they capture him, he's all crazy. He's like, "Oh, rip and tear" and all that BS, and then they suit him up to test him and stuff.
mhm.
That's where it takes place. They're still in their fantasy land. This is not like hell on earth or anything like that. It takes place in that bullshit time, and it's like that angelic future shit or whatever they call it. I don't know what to call it. I think it's Arc
S-
Denor or whatever the
So
hell
it's
it's called.
definitely magical then.
Yeah, yeah, it's like magical spiritual shit. Yep.
Yeah. So it's that's why you see weapons like that, you know. And
Hmm.
I think it looks cool. You know, I think it's a new look for the game. I think people are gonna like that. But I'm not necessarily focused on it. Like that's cool and all, but I'm not necessarily inspired to play the game because of that. You know,
Yeah,
I'll play the game because I like Doom overall, and you know it's another part of the game. You know, it's another part of the franchise. See where the story goes. You know, see what happens. But in terms of like weapons and stuff like that, the things that they've shown, or the little things that they've shown, rather, you know, I'm not inspired to play the game because of it.
right. Yeah, I think there's another weapon they introduced. There's another wacky weapon. It has a metal ball. I don't know. I think they showed it in one of the trailers. He shoots it, and you hear like the sound of the metal, like a bell, like a boom when it hits people and stuff. It's a ball, and it has like an electric chain on it or a laser chain, and it comes back to you. I don't know that. And when I saw that, I was like, man, I seen that concept before, but I don't know, man. It looks kind of stupid. You just shoot it and it comes back. Maybe it's powerful. I don't know, but to me, it looks pretty stupid. I'm not a
Yeah.
fan of it.
As a matter of fact, I'm gonna put some of that gameplay, man. That remember where
Hmm.
some people
Yeah, 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 yeah.
got chainsaw on the screen. Got some action there, you know. But you know, I'll put it on mute because I don't want to have it too loud for people. And you know, of course, sometimes we'll have ads. But I think I don't know, man. I'm watching the game right now, like on screen. This guy's playing it right, and like I just see a lot of melee. You
Yeah, the
know,
dude stun locked him, man. You saw the stun lock? I mean, that's
yeah,
pretty gonna be the boss fights, bro. I bet you when it comes out, they're gonna like nerf that. They're gonna say you can't stun lock the bosses.
maybe, yeah, because you know they have to find a way to keep people, um, you know, challenged, right?
Hmm.
Because the thing is like they'll people will find things that they can exploit. And once it gets too OP and too many people know, what do developers do? They nerf it. And when that happens, what happens to the game? The game usually begins to trend negatively because
Especially for a single player game.
especially for a single player game, right? Because there shouldn't really be a reason for people to not at least, you know, enjoy that exploit for, you know, a reasonable amount of time. Like if you want to, you know, patch it, you know, cool, maybe patch it a month from now. You know, because it's not a bad thing hurting the game. Actually, it's actually something that is engaging people to want to play. And you know, speaking of that, you know, that's gonna kind of go hand in hand with what we're gonna discuss a little later on with one of the topics that we have in regards to Capcom versus SNK2. You know, patching things out of games or you know, exploits that you know are patched maybe a little too early on a new release. You know, because I think personally that sometimes you know these type of mechanics that people find an exploit, you know, it sometimes can be a selling point. You know, for people, you know, like, hey man, you know, yeah, I'm playing this game, man. Like, I'm having a lot of fun because you know somebody found this glitch or something or this exploit, and you know, man, it just makes the game so much easier, so I can get things done a lot faster, so I can get to the end game or whatever. You know, so like little things like that, like it doesn't hurt the game necessarily, and I think that you know when things like that happen, I think what it does is it helps market the game a little more. Like the developers, I'm sure they're going to be aware, but they let it slide for a little bit so they can keep people playing. Because that's what happened. Previously, remember when we were playing Helldivers and they had nerfed the railgun, right?
Oh yeah, I remember that sucked. That's
So,
annoying.
so what did that cause? It caused people to to stop playing. A lot of people were
Right.
having fun with it because they were able to get through through the game, fairly fairly quickly. But they were having fun at the end of the day. If you didn't have enough content, it is what it is. But at least people were having fun, and that's the most important thing about these games. The point when you play these games is to have fun with the people that you're playing with, or if you're playing by yourself. So, I think, they're definitely gonna be exploits. I just hope that they let people play their game. I think Doom is the kind of game where, if the exploit is gonna cause people to want to go even harder at the game and play it even more and stream it, show off the funny stuff they can get away with, I think that's cool. I think that's something they can go for. As a matter of fact, my buddy Sorrow, he wants to go ahead and join up. He says he wants to join up, so I'm gonna have him join up so I can introduce you to him, and you guys can let me know what you guys think. So let me go ahead and add him real quick. But what do you think, bro? What do you think of exploits in games like that? Like, especially in a new release, like compared to a new release and maybe like a remaster or something like that.
I don't, for me, they never bothered, especially for single player games, man. That just never bothered me, man. I think that if you're by yourself, you're playing the game by yourself. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. I think the whole weird thing that they do, that they want to. I guess they're trying to lean to like the try hard community maybe because there's people that do cry about it. But then the thing is, the reality is that most of the people that cry about some stuff, they don't. Honestly, man, some of them don't even play the game, dude. They just cry just to cry, and then they just go away. It's like they do it to get their way, and then they just bounce. They
Yeah.
just don't, what I'm saying? They don't really even play the game, and that's what happened with Helldivers. That happened with Helldivers. There was other games that we played. Also, they do the same, like the same thing. I think something with Destiny 2. I remember they nerfed something. What was it? Man, I can't even remember because they nerfed so many crap. But usually they
w-
listen to the community.
wasn't it?
Those
Wasn't it the Galahorn?
Yeah, the Galahorn, because everybody had it, this and that, and they nerfed it. They gave it to everybody. Then it was a pre-order reward, whatever, right? But the point is that, yeah, I think a lot of these companies listen to the wrong people. They run with it. It was probably already part of their agenda, but they just needed something to fuel, the gasoline to the fire, so they can justify their action, and then they go do it. And then if it gets a backlash, then they're like, what do we do next? What can we do next to remedy this? Well, they go nerf other things. That's what they did with Helldivers. They started nerfing other guns and all this other stupid stuff, and then stop playing the game because it's stupid,
Mm-hmm.
waste of time.
Yeah, like you said, especially for a game like Doom, that's a single player game, right? I mean, they're always gonna find something to want to update, right? It's never gonna be just version 1.0, right? So hopefully, if the community that are gonna really try to grind this game, because those type of exploits that they find help them, in their process to get to that point, right? Because these are hardcore fans, and I think hardcore fans are the type of players that will try to find any exploit possible to try to come out on top. And I think, especially on a single player game, I think that's more than fine because you're not affecting anyone else. You're not affecting the outcome of anything. All you're doing is just playing the game at your own leisure. And, I think that's actually pretty healthy because if you can find something that it's in the game and it helps you get through it faster so you can have more time to do other things, if that's what you want to do, I think that's good, right? And I think that if devs, just play dumb for a bit and act like they don't see nothing or whatever, I think that's okay. You know.
You know what they're gonna do, right? I bet you right now, bro. They're gonna find there's gonna be a loot farm. They're gonna find some way to get that coin to unlock all the perks and everything. you know they're gonna find one. Then they're gonna nerf it. Why? They're gonna say, "Oh, you guys getting 100 coin? We're gonna drop it to 5 coins." So every time you find one of those little gold chests, it'd be like 5 coins instead of like whatever the amount was. I forgot what the guys. I think some of the stuff takes like 1,000 coins to unlock. So
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling it's gonna be a farm. I'm pretty sure of it. And they're probably gonna nerf it and lower it down so you keep playing the stupid level until you get 1,000 coins to unlock. Like the shotgun has an ability like incendiary rounds.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know, man. Like, I think if they do something like that, I think that's kind of dumb. I think people, like I said, if they find something like that uh, where they find a way to grind coins like that, because like you said, they're gonna have that coin system,
hmm
then let them. Like I said, I mean, I think you could nerf it at some point. I think it's fine. And it's interesting because I think Destiny allowed it for a little bit. Like on screen, like as you can see, you have the little dragon footage and stuff right now. So I think if you allow it for a bit, like I think it just depends, right? You don't want somebody doing that 3 days into the game, right? Because what does that mean? That means that person's probably been playing the game way before the game actually was released. Because most of those people probably are already on a higher difficulty too. Like, you ever notice that? Like, when a game comes out and then there's like people online that, for some reason, they have like mad achievements or they're super far in the game and shit, right? And you're like, yo,
yeah.
how the fuck is that possible, bro? Like, these people like work. Or
You mean like the path of exile people when magically they already like cap level and stuff?
right? Just people doing stuff like that, man. Like, I don't know. Like, I think that's pretty crazy. And I don't know. Like, I think if somebody were to find an exploit like that, perhaps, I don't know, say a week into the game, I'm okay with that. I think that's fine. But if it's like 3 days into the game, then like, yo, these are people that probably had early access to the game and just, have been playing it on the low or whatever, and just, farming the content, just getting that shit ready. Maybe,
Oh yeah,
maybe
yeah.
they have a network of people where they share this information and, they tell each other so they can go ahead and, you know, get far into the game so they can make content that way, and shout out to Punish right here on the screen. He's the one that has this footage that he recorded, but like, I just hope that if something like that happens, like if the game is very grindy, in that aspect, then I would like to see that happen. Like, let the people just go ahead and do what they want to do. It's not hurting anybody, right? It's a single player game. If there's leaderboards, like, maybe I can understand maybe wanting to do something a little early to stop people from doing it, but at the end of the day, like, I don't think it's really gonna matter too much. Like, I think people would rather, like I said, it goes back to sometimes people playing a game because they could do pretty cool shit like that. That's kind of broken sometimes. Or, like, I think broken is good sometimes. What do you think, bro?
Yeah, I think so, man. I mean, heck, I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do. Remember, like even from back in the day, like Super Mario Brothers, man. I mean, you do an exploit that can get you to the ending, and you just, if you do the combinations right, you fill up the RAM, and you get to the ending right away, man. It's considered what an exploit, but it's fun to do. I did it once. I can do it again. But that was cool. I think that, bringing back to what you said about like, how some people just already have content already. I think, I think we can pretty much safely say that is what happens because I'm actually expecting that. What's that one channel called? I always watch this because he always has the endings right when games come out. That Little Gamers Playground, whatever the heck his name is. He always has already the ending for right when the game comes out. Boom, he has the ending. He's already up like in 2 hours. So I mean, so these cats already, they
Shout
already,
out to him.
they have. yeah. Shout out to that guy, whoever that dude is. You know, I watched the channel, and then I could be disappointed when I see the ending. I'm like, man, this game sucks. I'm glad I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
So, so, so yeah, man. So I think that they already everything's already like prefabricated. You know, these people already got the content. I mean, they got the game early. They already got the content. You just have to wait for that date, and then it just gets flooded. And then that's how you see every channel like, oh, he's already on the last level, or they have max something. You know, but you know, what can you do? All I know is I'm gonna on the day it comes out, I'm gonna go on YouTube. I'm gonna say Doom, a Dark Age ending. I'm gonna see it from that dude. Somehow he's gonna have it, and I'll be like, yep. I'm disappointed, but I'll still play the game.
Yeah, you know, like I'll be honest. Do I see myself buying this game, paying what is it, $70? I think it is.
Yeah, 70 or something like that. Yeah.
No, and I'll tell you why. I don't see myself buying Doom: The Dark Ages for $70 because I can play it on Xbox Game Pass. And if I can play it and beat it in a month, then I'll play it, and I would have played it for $15, I think it was, or $20. So I think doing it like that, you know, a game that I don't necessarily see myself investing so much time, I think that makes more sense for me, you know, pardon for the ad on the screen. But, you know, I think doing it that way, at least for me, could be a lot better. You know, and you know what? Give me a second, Steph. I'm gonna call you back because I think Sorrow's trying to get in, but he can't get into the call. So I'm gonna see if I can call you guys back. So let me call you back. All right?
All right, sounds good.
Let's call these guys back. Let's see if we can start this over.
Yo.
All right, can you hear me, bro?
Yep.
All right, let me call
that only the
Sorrow
Slayer
again.
has the power to wield. So let's take a look at some extended gameplay footage and see how these medieval mechanics
Yeah.
All right, what's up, bro? Can you hear me?
to form the new
Yeah.
combat
All right,
loop
what's
for
up,
Doom
bro?
the Dark
Sorrow,
Ages.
this is my boy, homeboy Seth. Seth,
Hey, what's
this
up,
is
man?
Sorrow.
What's good, man?
Yo, we're talking this Doom shit, bro. How you hype for Doom or what?
Honestly, bro, I don't really play it, but my cousin's been trying to get me onto those games for a hot minute.
Okay, so from what you've seen, what do you feel? What do you think?
I mean, I'll probably play it. This shit's gonna be on the Game Pass, bro.
All right, exactly. You just proved a very good valid point. You know, something I was bringing up right now, because that's what I just said. I said that, you know, do I see myself spending $70 to play this new Doom game? No. But if I can play it on Game Pass for $20 a month and beat it, you know, within the first month, then, you know, I think that's something I can see myself doing. What do you think, bro? Do you agree with that?
I mean that for a lot of people that are on Game Pass, they'll sometimes buy it for a month or two just for one or two games, right? So that's kind of what it's for. But then there's other people that, you know, will buy it and just stick to the Game Pass like a Netflix. Like they'll just forget about that shit that they're paying for it because there's more games that they can go back to and play one day.
Now, do you think that Doom, the Dark Ages, is
slow things down or speed them up. It's a Doom for all
buying it, or
players.
rather, you know,
And the
if
gameplay
there's
doesn't
that kind
end
of
with just the
option,
Slayer.
said, you know, with Game Pass, if it's
We
probably
finally have for you. You've been waiting for 2 games now.
The thing is, man, if somebody really likes something, they'll buy it, even if they can have access to it. Like, for instance, I'm gonna use me as an example with Yakuza. I like the series. I like it a lot. When they released it on Game Pass on Xbox, I bought it, even though I had access to all of them on Game Pass, right? Because I am a fan of the series.
just like my
So I think some-
brother here, you know, he's a big fan of the series.
Yeah, I think most people that are excited for the game will buy it, right? Even if they have access to it, or they'll buy it when they get a chance to, in case money is tight, right? But then the Game Pass will be a way for them to play it at launch.
As cool as all that is, we know that fans of single-player action games.
No, I agree 100%. Yeah, man. If you're a fan of the series, they're gonna get it no matter what.
Exactly.
Unless it broke, right? Unless it broke, they're not. But yeah, eventually they'll get it. I mean, that's what I pretty much did with what was the last? I don't even remember the last thing I bought. Huh? but but yeah, man, I agree 100%.
Yeah, I think yeah, I think a lot of the hardcore guys, people that are really looking forward to Doom, they probably already have it pre-ordered, right? They probably have the helmet edition. I think Seth, you got the helmet edition pre-ordered, right?
Yep, I got the helmet one. Yeah, but for the game, I bought the regular one. I really didn't care for the little statue thing and the I don't know. People were saying like, oh, the cape is furry or something like. Nah, just get the game. But I like the helmet.
Yeah, so I think yeah, like you guys were saying, like the people that really are looking forward to finding out what happens in the rest of the saga, they're gonna wanna, just get it no matter what, right? But as a game, I'm still very skeptical, man. Like I'm not necessarily sold on the mechanics, man. Like I don't think melee fits Doom, man. Like I think it's gonna. I think it'll be cool. Like all right, like if you approach this as a regular game and just don't approach it like a Doom game, it's like Street Fighter in a way. And Sorrow could attest to this that you know the way Street Fighter 6 plays, like it doesn't play like your conventional Street Fighter game, but it's a Street Fighter game. So they've added something to it that completely changes the way you approach the game to like evolve it to a new generation, for example, right? But for us older guys, legacy players, like it kind of hurts the game in a way because we're I don't want to say we're necessarily purists, but I think that there's something in that purity. It's what made the game what it is. And when too many things start changing, I don't know. I think a lot of us feel that it's gonna hurt the next generations, and it's gonna get lost. Like that type of enjoyment or challenge that we feel in these games, they become easier and easier as time goes on. What do you guys think?
I mean, it depends, right? For when it comes to like Street Fighter, right? Street Fighter 5 came out what, like 8-9 years ago now.
About
It depends on what you mean on what Street Fighter for this or that person, right? Me, yeah, but Street Fighter 6 is more like people that started on 5 can relate to it more than somebody who started on 2 can relate to it, for instance, right?
Right, or even someone that even maybe plays, some of 4, right? Like it's still very similar.
And it's more relatable to 5, and then people that came from that era, like 09ers and plus, right?
Right.
For me, 6 is not really a relatable game, but neither was 5, right? I disliked 5 with a passion. My thing is, like, if we were talking for like Doom, right? I don't play the Doom series, so I don't know how it looks like identity wise. But me, who started on 2, loved 3, played the alphas, 6 is not a Street Fighter to me, right? But for Doom, like me, just looking at it from the outside, I've never really played them, but it looks like a first-person shooter. They're killing monsters. It looks like Doom, right?
Right.
I've never played it, but like, if somebody who's excited for it and the people that are excited are buying it, like I said, my cousin is really big into it, and he's gonna play that shit day one. Like he doesn't want to be bothered when the shit comes out.
So,
But to him, that means he likes it. To him, it is a Doom game. It is a proper Doom game. But again, I wouldn't be able to speak on that.
so Seth, since Sorrow, he's interested in Doom. He's never played it. You, who's played all of them, big fan of the game. What can you say to Sorrow on not just what to expect, but what Doom may mean to you necessarily, and why you enjoy it, and why the things you see don't necessarily appeal to you? For someone that's been playing for a long time now, not saying that you're trying to get him to not want to play the game, but your concerns as a veteran player to someone that is coming in new. Not to say that they need to look out for it, but maybe you can point out things that you feel are maybe changing the trajectory maybe too much of what Doom is.
Man, that's interesting. I don't know, man. It's weird. It's an interesting question. I mean, to me, like if I was telling this dude like about this new Doom, I would just say like I would ask him first, have you played Dark Souls? And if he says yes, I'll be like, it's a first person Dark Souls because you have to parry and dodge. I'd be like, it's kind of like that. maybe if you're into that, then great. But I would just I would just say to anybody, be like, if you want to get into it, I would just start with like, if you really like into graphics, start with 2016 and then move up there. If 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 they really like the old school pixelated stuff, then go. I like Doom 2 out of all of them, honestly, like from the back in the day stuff. So if you want to start from that, I would say if you want to go classic, go Doom 2. But if you want to, like, if you're into like more, graphics, more appealing looks and aesthetics, 2016 and up. Doom, and the Dark Ages, yeah. I mean, I think to me, it's like a it's like what do you call that thing? Like what they did with Doom 3. Remember, it was a graphical showcase. Where they were marketing like the new, shadowing and all that stuff. I forgot which video card they were marketing,
Was it
but this
Voodoo?
is the same. Hmm?
Was it Voodoo?
Probably Voodoo. Maybe I don't remember. It's been a while, man.
3DFX, some shit like that.
Yeah, it was yeah, because they introduced the shader and all that stuff, the realistic, dynamic shadowing and all that stuff, and that was what mainly what Doom 3 was about. It was basically a milestone. So for this one, they're doing the milestone with the 5090s, right? So the whole, full blown everything, AI mumbo jumbo nonsense of rendering. So I think basically that's what it is. But if it's story wise, if he's interested story wise, I would say start with 2016, then go Eternal and all that stuff, and there you go. And then you get to the Dark Ages, and you can ride a dragon if you're into dragons.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like you said, he has Game Pass. So yeah, I mean, since you have Game Pass, bro, like I would probably suggest, yeah, maybe like Sub said, start with 2016 because it's on Game Pass if I'm not mistaken. And then you can
I believe it
familiar with
is.
Yeah, and then you get familiar with it because 2016 was good. I ain't gonna front. 2016, I remember when I first played it, bro. Like, I'm not gonna front, bro. I was getting kind of wrecked in the beginning. Cause like, yo, like you gotta get used to that shit. And then once you get used to it, the rhythm of how you need to approach the game, then the shit started getting easier. But if you try to approach it like a conventional first-person shooter, bro, you're gonna get wrecked. So like, because
like
it's
I
not gonna
said,
make sense 'cause until you get it. You know what I'm saying? Once you get it, like, oh, okay, this is how I gotta approach it.
I feel like that applies to almost every game, right? When you're new to a
Yeah.
series,
But you know how
gotta
some
have to
first
learn
person
it.
shooters are, very, very conventional, right? Like they almost all play the same, but Doom is a little different. You know what I'm saying?
How,
It's a little
it's funny. I think that only really applies to like the Call of Duty series and like maybe Medal of Honor, some Medal of Honors at that.
especially those military games, right? Like
Yeah,
all those
basically, yeah, the like military games, right?
because most first person shooters, these days are technically military shooters and stuff. So like they're very similar, right? So when you transition from one to another, from something like that to something like this, where your weapons don't necessarily have a zoom. You know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah, and yeah, like me, if I were to start playing Doom, I would assume to get something closer to like Halo than Call of Duty.
yeah, a little bit, absolutely. I can agree with that. And I think it's gonna be cool, man. I think overall, I think Doom: The Dark Ages, out of a 10, it could potentially score maybe between the high 70s to mid 80s, maybe like an 84 maximum. What do you guys think? If you had to put it into
Again,
what you've seen, this more applies to Seth, right? Because you have
I haven't played any of them exactly.
What do you think, Seth?
Me? Oh, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm pretty rough on those score things. I'll just give it a 6 out of 5 out of 10. 6 out of 5, maybe 7 because it might look pretty and you can see the reflection on the water, maybe. But I mean, other than that, yeah, I think so. I don't. I mean, they added. I mean, it's goofy, right? Because people are praising it because it's gonna have 22 levels. Like, duh, it has no online. Of course, they're gonna focus on more of the single player stuff, but they're praising it based on that. It's just, I don't know. A lot of the thing they're praising it for, I think it's like kind of goofy. I think, but
Mhm.
I say I say pushing it 7 because it's gonna look nice, So 7 maybe until the honeymoon phase. Once the honeymoon phase runs out, it'll drop to 6.
Okay, so you think like on Steam, for example, right? Because a lot of people like to base Steam reviews, right? Because Steam reviews are pretty
Yeah. Oh,
interesting, right?
they're gonna hard on it. Yeah, they're gonna make fun of it. Just like Hell Diary, it just went downhill pretty quick.
So you think
So
it's gonna start well, and then it's gonna go into mixed reviewed, and then negative, probably.
yeah. Once they get to the you'll probably get most of the reviews will be bad, be because people can't run it on their computer. So that's gonna be the first big bulk. The second bulk will probably be the story or something like that. My guess would be the ending. I have a feeling the ending is gonna be pretty stupid.
What do you think is gonna
That's
happen?
just me. I think they're gonna. I mean, that Hugo guy, man. I mean, he wants to. And I have no gripe with. I mean, whatever. I mean, if this is what they want to do, so be it. I think what he wants to do is he wants to end the legacy of the Doom Marine, whatever you want to call him, whatever. I think they just want to get rid of him, so they can bring somebody else on board. And I was hoping they'll bring the other guy, Phobos, the one from Quake Arena. That's the reason why they have a gold helmet. That's because that's the Phobos guy. I thought they were gonna bring him, but I think they're gonna. I think Hugo wants to bring Crash, the female, so to replace the Slayer. Because that's the whole empowerment thing. So I think they're gonna lean towards that. That's what I think. And then they're gonna take it from there. Because that's
Mm-hmm.
why he. I mean, they even brought that up too in an interview. I think when the Eternal was out. When are they gonna bring a girl Slayer? Yeah. So and Hugo was like, yeah, why not? But they have to get rid of him first. They have to get rid of the main dude first. Get rid of him so they do a reboot of the story, kind of like
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars almost.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Especially since this is like a prequel, so like it kind of like the storyline could be like taking place simultaneously with what Doomslayer was doing in Eternal and in 2016, right? So like
it's gonna
it's
be
gonna
it's
be
gonna take
parallel.
it's gonna take the ending would be when they crash the whole castle on him. And we remember in 2016 when it starts, they find him. They take him out of that sarcophagus thing, and he's chained up and all that. They wake him up, so that's because they dropped I forgot the stupid demons drop a big castle on him or something just to make up to knock him out. So the ending is gonna be that supposedly be the ending be when they drop the whole castle on you and you get messed up, and then probably from that point to when they wake you up to 2016, there's gonna be a big gap. So that's
Mm-hmm.
probably when they introduce a new character that takes your mantle for a little bit and
Mm-hmm.
and does stupid stuff, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, because they haven't really shown too much, man. Honestly, like I'm kind of worried about that because game as you see on screen comes out May 15th, basically a month from today, right? And they haven't really shown too much about the story. Honestly, I think they've had gameplay footage, they've had people go and play, behind the scenes and everything like that. Private private showings and stuff, but in terms of like story and stuff, like I don't think they've shown too much, and there's time's running out. But nowadays, a lot of these companies they'll wait to like 2 weeks to like really start pumping stuff out on YouTube and stuff. But with a game like Doom, you know I don't think the interest is necessarily there for a lot of people. I think Doom is a type of game that for example, like in Sorrow's case, the reason he'll play it is because his cousin is gonna play it, and his cousin told him, you should check it out. So it's like a word of mouth game, but you know that kind of hurts the bottom line because the game could sell a lot more if they were to market it more, right, and give out more promo material, but they kind of don't. So I don't know. I don't feel like it's a AAA game, right? It's not being at least maybe treated like one. So we'll see, man. Like maybe that's a reflection of the development cycle for it, right? Maybe it wasn't treated like that. Who knows? I really don't know. If they've had struggles or, like you said, maybe the game is very bland. A lot of people said that, when they played it, like the game is cool, but it's very bland. It's very
The
boring.
core, yeah, the core function of the game was bland. That's what they were all saying. It was too repetitive. Like the main concept, like I guess the whole point of killing the enemies was just too the same, too linear. That's what
Right.
they were crying about.
Right, and maybe that's why they don't want to show too much because then it could turn people away, and then they won't pre-order or whatever the case may be. But I guess we'll have to find out a month from today, right? And
Bro,
we'll
all I
see.
know if they don't have a BFG, I give the game a 1. So yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. I mean, like I can't if I don't see a BFG, game gets a 1.
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't have a BFG, if there's a Doom game without a BFG, then it's not a Doom game. necessarily.
Right. I mean, like, look, I have the what do you call it? The internal BFG. So if I can't 3D print it, the newer one, then I'm disappointed. Game gets a one.
Yeah, fuck that, bro. That's fucking stupid, bro. Anyway, let's move on to the next topic. So the next topic, a topic that I think a lot of people are interested in. There's been a lot of stuff going on lately, actually. With the reveal of the Nintendo Switch 2, a lot of stuff with the tariffs. A lot of people worried about, the future of gaming, really, how much these games are probably going to be costing in the future. And a lot of people feel that, when Nintendo made their announcement for the Switch, right, the new Nintendo Switch 2, that the price, I think it's $450. Some people are, from what I've seen, at least I can say, I feel that it's a little reasonable. 400 probably would have been a perfect spot for them, but I think 450, a lot of people are like, well, that's fine. I can deal with it. But, later on we learned that some of these games, correct me if I'm wrong, if any of you guys know maybe a little more about the subject, they're going to cost more than what certain games already cost on other platforms, right? Most of these games on other platforms, cost about $70, right? If they're not
$70.
yeah, if they're not a remake or if they're not, a re-release or whatever, right? MSRP is $70, and we learned that these games on the Switch 2, if I'm not mistaken, some of them were going to cost $80, and I'm not sure. There was a rumor. I don't know how true this was, but some people said that it was $80 for digital and $90 for physical. I'm not sure if that was confirmed, but $80 for a digital game is a lot of money. And we're paying $80 for a digital game on a inferior hardware to what's already available on the market. Why? What do you guys think of all of this stuff, and what do you think of people's reaction, and also what you see on screen? Because they're saying that, with all these tariffs going on by the American U.S. government, they're saying that it could be subject to 145% tariff. What do you guys think of all of these happenings with Nintendo and the way things could change? Sorry, go ahead. You can go first, bro.
I just heard that it was mostly for basically outside of certain countries. So I think the US is getting shafted on that one, from what I understand. It was like 450, and the prices are kind of all over the range. Like I think I saw a photo that was like 90 for one game. I was, that's insane. But they did say like it is probably due to the tariffs and how strong the yen is, or weak the yen is, I think. Because they said like the version with languages, basically the version that we're getting in the States or North America, is like $150 cheaper in Japan.
Yeah, I did.
It's gonna be like $300. Yeah, exactly. So it definitely has something to do with the tariffs. So hopefully that does change at some point. Honestly, I don't really think that's gonna bother anybody. Anybody who plans on getting it is gonna get it regardless.
Like Doom.
The shit could have been $500. If somebody wants it, they're gonna get it.
Right.
I have a plug in Japan who I'm gonna see if he can get one for me and then send it to me, because I don't want to pay $450 personally.
Yo, let me know.
But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. The games, I was discussing this with a lot of people. I don't plan on buying many games day one, if I'm honest. It's more of a just to own it. I maybe get like one or two games. Okay. But my thing with the Switch, like I have like 20 games, and most of them are just like Pokemon games, Bayonetta, like basically the Nintendo only games for the most part.
Right.
And that's kind of what I'm gonna end up doing with the Switch 2, where my library for that console is mostly gonna consist of like that console only games, right? Like exclusives to that console. Mm-hmm. I'll make an exception for like the fighting games, but I don't plan on buying them day one, right? So like for instance, Street Fighter 6 is supposed to be, I think, a day one release for the Switch 2. Yeah, that's not something I plan. Yeah. I don't plan on buying that day one for it. Mm-hmm. Like physical or digital. Like I just it's not in the plans.
Yeah, because you
for me.
already own it
Like
on all these other consoles anyway,
uh,
right?
exactly. There's just no reason for it at the moment. I'll get around to it at some point, but I'm gonna start off with like one or two Nintendo exclusive only games that are just specifically for that console, right?
And how do you feel about
Because
those
that's another.
$80 games though?
But that's what I was about to get at, right? Like right now, supposedly we found out that Switch One games are gonna be played on it through emulation, so there's no reason to get rid of your Switch One.
Hmm.
It'll be better to just play your Switch One games on the Switch One.
Okay.
So yeah, I just don't. I'm not. I'm not in a rush to start buying games I already own on the damn thing. Because
Okay.
that's one of the things, right? You can spend like an extra $20 to get an upgraded version of the Switch One game on the Switch Two that's digital only, but there's just no reason. I don't see a reason for it. It's my thing.
Okay. And do you own a
And
Switch and do you own a lot of games?
bro, we own three here, and we'll likely have two Switch Twos within like the first month of that launch of that console.
Okay. So you're heavily invested into Nintendo's ecosystem.
Exactly, yeah. They got us. They got us on the hook already. They've been had us.
Okay.
But like I said, me personally, two games max. I don't plan on buying many of the multi-platform games on it, and I know it's gonna have a lot.
Hmm.
It's strictly Switch 2 games that are only for that console.
Okay. Okay. And how do you feel about the new Mario Kart coming out?
I think the price is fucking nuts, but like, you know, they know their shit's gonna sell.
It's Mario. Of course it's gonna
Exactly,
sell.
exactly. It's Mario Kart. Mario Kart is one of the biggest sellers on the original. This shit is gonna sell. So
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. I mean, I don't know, Steph. What do you think? How do you feel about all that information? How do you feel about all the stuff that's happened since the Switch 2 reveal and the tariff stuff going on and the potential price of games? Well, not the potential anymore because it's a reality. The games are going to cost, some games at least are going to be $80. How do you feel about the price of games going up, potentially going even higher at some point in the future? What do you think of that, bro?
Mm, well, for the Nintendo side, I haven't been on Nintendo for a while, but I'm definitely gonna pick up a Switch too because I want to play the new Metroid. And you guys talked about the Mario Kart tour. Yeah, I'm gonna get it too because it looks cool. I mean, I know that people say the graphics look terrible and stuff, but I'm like, oh, I don't know, it looks pretty cool. It looks pretty neat to me. And I also had a 3DS, and the only reason I had a 3DS when I was going to work was also for Pokemon and on this other stuff because I was like, oh, this is neat. And Smash Brothers. I used to play Smash Brothers on the 3DS as well, so I thought it was kind of cool. So I haven't had a Nintendo since kind of wild. So,
Word.
then I saw this Metroid one and I was like, oh man, Metroid. I love Metroid. So I was like, I'm going to wait until they make like a special skin for it or a special version. Then I'll get a Switch 2 once it comes out. And then I'll just, whatever it takes. It doesn't matter. No mercy. I'll just get it. So that's my plan. Oh, about the prices too. I think it falls back to the same thing. I think if people want to get the game, they're just gonna go get it. They're gonna bite the bullet. I think that people are just gonna go ahead, just like even
But do you
GTA,
think?
right?
But do you
Like,
think that's okay though?
oh, if I think it's okay, like them doing it, nah, of course not. I mean, I don't see how they can charge something that is digital, right? Especially if it's digital and increase the price on it. Like, what are you paying? Is this like a NT, like a, what do you call those silly things? Like a crypto thing? You're paying gas prices for it, right? To download it
Mm-hmm.
or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I don't like it. I think it's a bad philosophy. I think they're just doing it just to get away with it, just like all businesses. Like they
Because they
take
know
advantage of
people.
it,
Because they
right?
know people are gonna keep doing it. But okay,
Yeah.
so speaking of that, how do you feel about these companies now feeling that they can go ahead and increase the prices on these games because they know people are gonna buy them, and then that gives them the liberty to just increase them whenever they want, whether we feel it's justifiable or not. Like, how do
Well, I
you
mean,
feel about that?
it's. I mean, like look what the owner of what's it called, GTA guy. I forgot what they're called. What are those clowns called again?
Rockstar.
Four game. No, well, the Rocks, but they have another company. Their original name,
Oh, Take
Four
Two.
Games, Take Two, whatever. Right, that guy. I forgot that guy's name with the big nose, but he was like, hey, people should pay us for the amount of hourly that we put into the game, so that's how much they should charge us. How much we should charge you guys to play our game. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's why that was a whole story, right? That the game, GTA will be the first one that costs $100 or whatever. That's like the little rumor, right? So I mean, if the price is gonna go up now, It's not gonna be $100. How much are they gonna charge you for the regular for the game? What 150, 180 for the standard? Deluxe would be what 300, $500, 400. You want the little Rockstar stickers, little statue of whatever the characters are. So I don't know. I think that as long as people keep buying them, yes, it's what do you call it? Positive. They're gonna see it as it's kind of like a parrot, right? Like a positive reinforcement. You keep doing that to them. They keep going like, oh yeah, they bought it. Let's keep going and pushing. Keep selling it, upselling it. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't stop people. That's the thing. Is that's the hard part, right? It's their money. They're gonna do what they want.
And like speaking of people with their money and do what they want, like with the tariffs, I think some people, if they're able to, like in Sorrow's case, he says that he may have someone that can help him get it a lot cheaper, but other people that don't have that ability, they're just gonna, like you said, bite the bullet. They're not gonna care about the tariff, right?
Yeah, he's just gonna buy it. Yeah.
So I think, I don't know, maybe you guys can agree with the tariff, right? The games are gonna go up in price now. So, being that they're going to go up in price, you'd think that it's going to kind of make it easier for people to, or for companies to charge people more because, like it's already on tariff, you're already paying this much. So, like, it's become the standard because of that. And now, we're just going to go do as we please. Maybe. I think so. I think it's possible, but we'll have to see, we'll have to see. What these companies want to do. I don't know. I just think that these companies are definitely going to do something, and they're going to take advantage of the fact that the tariffs are implemented, and people are going to have to take the brunt of that cost, and it's going to help them justify the price hikes. Once things get settled with tariffs and, the economy and, people having more money in their pocket because of, the ideas that are being implemented over there in the States.
Honestly, this happened before in the Super Nintendo. I'm not sure if you ever saw like those magazines with
Hell yeah.
the crazy prices. I think just certain games are going to sell well.
But the dollar was worth a lot more back then too, though.
Yeah, but the thing is, some games did not sell as well as others because, like, some games were like $130, bro.
And but then again, also renting was something as well.
Yeah, but my thing is, right now, once these games come out, because I saw different prices for different games. Like they'll start seeing what people are willing to bite the bullet on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they see, yeah, exactly. So if they see that most people are willing to bite the bullet on an $80 game, they'll be like, all right, yeah, let's keep it at $8. It is what it is. But if they see that that's not selling well, or as well as like some upgrades or some games that are selling at 70 or 60, then they'll probably change the plan. They'll be like, all right, this isn't working the way we thought it was gonna work.
Like, look, let me read this to you guys. It says game consoles like the Nintendo Switch 2 will reportedly be hit with a 145% U.S. tariff on goods made in China. An internal assessment memo by a major Apple and Nintendo supplier states that electronics made in China will be impacted by the ongoing trade war. Certain tech products were initially exempt from reciprocal tariffs, but the Trump administration has now confirmed otherwise. So it says the Nintendo Switch 2 and other game consoles will reportedly be hit by a 145% U.S. tariff on imported goods made in China. That's according to an internal assessment by a major... Same shit that they were talking about before. So, following the long-awaited Switch 2 Direct and the imposed tariffs, Nintendo announced that U.S. pre-orders have been delayed from its original April 9th date in order to assess the potential impact of tariffs and evolving market conditions. Since then, Canada pre-orders have also been delayed, but Nintendo has confirmed that the console's launch date is unchanged and will provide U.S. and Canadian buyers with a new pre-order date soon. So, currently, they've stated that the Switch 2 will go for $450, right? $395 Great British Pound, Australian dollar. I think it's $499, and they're charging like, oh no, those are the same things actually. No, $499 console alone, $500 with the bundle with the game. So $395 Great British Pound, $429 Great Britain Pound. So like most people are gonna be buying the $500 bundle, right? Let's just be honest, right? You're gonna get the $500 bundle, right? Is that right, bro? If you're able to get your hand on it, obviously you're not looking to pay $500, but you're gonna get the one with the Mario Kart, right?
For me, yeah, I'll get it.
What about you, Sorrow? You're gonna get the Mario Kart one?
Uh, I don't know. Me and wife were talking. Maybe one of us would get the 500, like maybe her, and I'll get if I can my plug and get it for me for 300. I'll just get the Switch 2 by
The
itself.
standard. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, 145% of that. Let's see. Let's do some math real quick if we can. So 500 times 145. Whoops, wrong button. Let's see. We are looking at a device that's 725. That's a lot, man.
It is a lot.
That's a lot. That's almost as much as a PS4, PS5 Pro.
Yeah. Again, the people are just gonna still get it, man. The Switch, the best-selling modern console.
Yeah, I mean, the Switch broke a lot of records, right? I mean, Switch,
Yeah.
Switch
Yeah.
very successful. Seth, you own a Switch, right?
But the first one, no, I never had a. I had a 3DS.
Right. Okay. But you were considering, I think, at one point looking to get it, but now that the Switch 2 is out, basically.
Oh yeah. Remember with the whole talkie thing, with the screen upgrade, I was like, oh, I'm gonna get one. But then when Switch 2 was announced, I was like, oh, forget the first one. I'll just get the newer one because I never had one. I always wanted one, but I never got to it. So now Switch 2 comes out, I'll grab that one.
Yeah, that's a lot, man. 725. That's a lot. Now, speaking of, prices going up, there's a report stating that the price of PS5 is also going up.
I saw that actually.
Did you see that? We have it on the screen.
Yeah, I saw that.
Let me read it to you guys. So Sony hikes PlayStation 5 price by 25% as Trump tariffs bite. So PS5 digital price in UK would rise to 430 Great British pounds and 500 in Europe. 500 euros in Europe as Japanese games developers cites challenging economic environment. So report says that they increased it, right, 25%. So 425 Great British pounds, Great Britain pounds, right, in the UK, and 500 euros in the rest of Europe starting Monday. And this report was posted on, where is the date? This was this Monday. So that looks like that actually took effect this week. This was posted, and it says in Australia, it rose to 829 Australian dollars, man. That's a lot, and it says that New Zealand's also going to increase too. So Oceania is going to go ahead and increase. Europe is increasing. Great Britain increased. The UK increased. So I don't know, man. Like, I think prices right now in the U.S. so far have been steady, but do you guys see a potential increase in the U.S. as well? What do you guys think?
No, I don't think so. I think I saw something about that a year ago too, that like North America, especially the US, isn't likely to change because it's such a large market they can't really risk getting the market upset. It's kind of the reason why the Switch 2 is also so cheap in Japan. Is with the yen being so low, they can't really risk messing with their main player base not buying the console because it's too expensive.
Right, because most of the base is going to be in Japan for the Switch.
Exactly. So you can't really risk saying, it's going to be $450 here as well, and then their main consumer base not buying it. So I think the U.S. especially right now is safe from that hike.
Yeah,
at least for now.
Yeah, it seems so. Right. Of course. That's the plan.
That could change. Yeah. Yeah.
To use the power of the dollar so that that way they can go ahead and try to keep prices steady or maybe lower them so that they can go ahead and keep those consumers. Seth, what do you think of these hikes, man? You think you agree with Sorrow that the prices are probably going to remain the same so far right now in the States, or what?
I think they will remain probably to the same rank, maybe a little bit higher, maybe a little bit. But then remember that most of the stuff, some stores. I don't know if all stores would do it, but you know how some stores will like control the price. They would to increase and start inflating the price. Kind of like when a scalper takes buys it. Remember how it was happening when the PS5s just came out? All the scalpers buying them. Then they resold them again for like $1,000 instead of like 500 or whatever there was.
Yeah.
So I see some stores taking advantage of it, but you'll I think people will always find a deal. It will be out there. The standard price, kind of like the 5090s. Like everybody, people that bought the 5090s, they were paying like 10 grand on eBay, right? 10 grand, 15 grand, and then I just looked online and I found a store somewhere in Texas and they have 5090s and it's like $3,000 and they
Wow.
still have them in stock. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. So everybody who paid 10 grand or whatever they were paying. I mean, they're probably kicking themselves in the butt right now. But
Mm-hmm.
I think the deal. I think there will always be deals, around still, but you will still have some bad apples going around trying to inflate the price, trying to screw someone over. But I think I think the deals will still stay pretty good in the U.S. It won't be too crazy. It'll get a little bit higher, but not too nuts. I don't think.
So you think it'll be like one of those stores? Like, we're all actually from New York, right? So like, remember back in the day, there was a lot of these old mom and pop stores in different areas, right? That sold electronics, and
Hmm.
sometimes they sold games. And the games that they would sell, they would usually be games that were kind of popular, maybe sold out in like Toys R Us or something, right? But they would have it, but they would have it at $100, for example. Like I remember that happened to me, man. Like I remember, I had a 64, right? Actually, it's the last Nintendo console I owned, and I wanted to get No Mercy, WWF No Mercy, and I had the money, right? So at that time, I went to the Toys R Us in Union Square, and they didn't have it, and I just wanted to buy it. I'm like, yo, fuck that, man. I need to get this shit already, yo. Had the money on me and everything, so I went and I started walking, and I went into one of those stores, those electronic stores that you would just find, on a major street, right? Major intersection or whatever, and they had it. And I remember the retail price for it. I think it at Toys R Us was like $70 or $75, something like that. And these guys wanted 100 for that shit. So I can kind of see that happening with what you're saying. If, say, for example, a console is more, it becomes a little more limited. Maybe it starts selling out, or it's just harder to get them into the country. If that were to happen, but if things happen the way they are now, where shit is just coming in no matter what, then probably the price of the consoles will drop. Or maybe not drop, maybe drop a little bit, but it'll probably remain the same. But it could probably even drop. I can see the PS4, the PS5 Pro dropping soon, because a lot of people aren't buying it, and it costs Sony a lot of money just to have it. Like they're not making no money off of that shit. So I think that shit should potentially drop to $100 within the next year or so. But I think consoles going up, like Sorrow said, I don't think that's a good idea for the type of market, depending on the item, right? Depending on what it is. Nintendo, like you said, it's more popular in Japan, so over there they have to appease to the their audience. But I think PlayStation, like you guys were saying, for at least now, I think it'll be pretty chill. What do you guys think? You guys agree?
Mm, like I said, man, for consoles, I doubt it goes up, at least in North America, especially the States. Uh, Game prices, I like I said, I think they're just gonna see kind of how everything falls. They're throwing out a bunch of different prices for a bunch of different games.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how that goes. As for the stores, man, yeah, I think the stores will 100% take advantage of it. Like the big retailers can't do that,
Mm-hmm.
but then they also get the most consoles, right? So like Walmart's gonna get a shitload of them.
Yeah.
GameStop will get a couple. Target is gonna get a lot of them. But the small mom and pop joints, they only get like two, three if they're lucky, maybe five if they're kind of big. And yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's kind of part of the hustle, right? Like
Yeah. They got to turn a
if they only
profit.
have five, exactly. If they only have five, Yeah, they can sell it to you for 450, and they might sell it to the people they know, especially if they get a good amount. I think if they get a good amount, they're more likely to not to try to up the prices. But if they only get like five and they should have sold out everywhere, yeah, they're gonna bump that shit up, bro. They'll put
Yeah.
it for like 500, 550. I had a small game store by the train station. When the DS came out, I remember they had like 50 of them. They got a good amount. But because the original DS sold out so fast, like yeah, I think the day two they had bumped up the price like $50.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
especially those old
yeah,
shops. Remember, you guys know those old shops back in the
yeah,
day.
that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, the little shops, if they see that it's sold out everywhere, they'll likely bump it up a bit. Depending on how many they got, it'll be a small amount or a big amount. If it's not selling crazy, then unfortunately they're just gonna, fortunately for everybody, they'll sell it for 450,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe they'll try to bundle it with the game that they know is not selling well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, they force you to go ahead and buy that game so you can get that out of their overhead and shit.
Exactly. Like if they see a game that they don't expect to sell, they'll be like, "Yeah, we bundle it with this console. That's the only way to buy the console. You just gotta hold it."
Yeah, and you guys saw also that we were saying before that the PS Plus price went up in Canada, man. Like I'm looking at it right now that Essential is 110 Canadian dollars. So
Yeah, that's nuts.
I think that's what like $80 maybe $90 US. I think. Let me see. CAD to USD. What did I say? One what? 109, right?
I think so.
109. Here it is. Yeah, 110. Okay. So 110 Canadian dollars right now is it's practically $80. I think that's what it costs right now for the US. If I'm not mistaken.
Not the base edition. I think the base edition only costs like $50.
No, it's not. It's not $50 no more.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
For like the basic
The
basic?
basic. The
See.
basic elements, bro. That basic one. Yeah, it's $70 I think or $80 now.
Hell no, hell no.
Yeah,
It's not that
bro.
much.
I'm telling you.
Oh, damn, you're right. It went up to 80.
Yeah, dude.
No, I'm not paying that shit.
Yeah, 12 months is essentially $80. So basically, the price in Canada went up, right? So they basically caught up to us. So being that they finally caught up to us, and their currency tends to be a little bit weaker compared to the U.S. dollar. Seth, do you think that the U.S. price is gonna go up anytime soon for PlayStation Plus? And if it does, how
Mm,
much?
I mean, that's kind of, I mean, it's hard because they know the U.S. market knows, right, that a lot of people are like, they don't have enough. I mean, remember there was a big complaint for like the Netflix people, right? You know how they have all these services, right? And they're all stacked up, right? And this gaming stuff like for PlayStation and all that stuff that also stacks onto that, right? So they're kind of if it goes up, it'll probably be $10 or $5. I think it won't be something like super crucial and stuff because people, I mean, unfortunately, you need that, right, to play some games, right? But I think other games are going to start making their own services. And for example, I keep bringing up, like, look at GTA, right? With GTA Plus, it's like $10 extra, right? So on top of your 70, you're if you're really like into GTA, now you have to pay if you want their extra benefits, you pay the $10. If you want like their money or whatever the hell they give you nowadays, I don't even know what they do now. And I think more games are going to start doing that. I think they're going to start also applying their additional benefit package that you can get like whatever, who knows, like for Call of Duty you get like whatever the COD coins or whatever to unlock some skin or whatever. I think that's what they're gonna start doing. They're gonna start creeping it in that way to increase the price. I don't think generally they're gonna increase the price for the membership to get online to play with your friends. But I think the gaming companies are gonna introduce another package that'll be on top of your PlayStation package already as a like a premium or plus, kind of like a VIP thing, to make you, I don't know. They're gonna glorify it so you can feel important, and then they're gonna add the commercials. They're gonna add ads, every time you start loading, they're gonna play an ad so you can buy something. But anyway, I'm just I'm digressing now. But anyway, so yeah, so that's what I think. I don't think they're gonna increase the price. I think maybe a little bit, but I think the gaming companies are gonna start adding their own little sub packages to increase, to get money or
Yeah,
to
like
squeeze
premium,
something out.
like
Like
premium,
premium, yeah, some goofy thing like that. Yeah,
premium
yeah. Because I know,
access.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, hey, you want $500,000 to buy your penthouse in GTA? Here you go, buddy. Here you go. Once a month.
Mm,
That's what I think they're gonna do.
what do you
Yeah,
think,
in the
Sorry?
free car, yeah, you get your free car too.
Yeah, you gotta get the free car, right?
Yeah,
And you get
with the
free
paint job.
insurance too.
Right, right. You get insurance too. Yeah, yeah.
What do you think, Sorry? You agree with that, or what? What do you think?
I mean, that's 100% gonna happen, bro. Like that's like you said, it's already happening with the big games. I expect that to be in GTA 6 off the rip on launch. It's kind of the way the trend is going for games.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think? You think GTA is gonna be $100 or what?
No, on that one, no, I disagree. I think that's gonna be $70.
Okay.
A lot of people are disagreeing with me, but I'm like, yo, you gotta understand, this game is gonna shatter every single record associated with video games or entertainment.
So if it
Period.
shatters the records, then why not just make it $100 then?
Because then they risk pissing people off that have been waiting for it too long.
Okay. But what if they
Then
piss
they
people
then
off
they then
anyway?
they add negativity to the launch, which I don't think they need to. Honestly, they don't. They're in a position where they don't need to do that. Right? They know GTA 6 is gonna break every record. Honestly, I was saying in North America, especially in North America, they should do what Japan did for Dragon Quest, where so many people called out for I forgot which Dragon Quest that most Japanese employers just gave the day off
Mm-hmm.
because everybody was gonna go buy the game. And there was photos coming out of like lines going around the block in a lot of game stores with people just waiting to buy the game. I already know of a couple people that said they're gonna use their vacation time for GTA 6 launch. Right? Like there's so many people that are just not gonna show up to work that day.
Now, being that there's so many people to expect to be playing at day one, do you think that the servers are gonna crash?
No, I think in that one I'll give it to Rockstar. Right? The game is gonna work on disc.
But
That
but
and we're now in an age where you can pre-download most of the game now,
but
right?
you don't think GTA Online is gonna crash? You gotta remember GTA Online when it came out the first time, it was terrible.
Yeah, but the thing is, again, I think that applies to a good amount of people, but a lot of people when that game comes out, they're just gonna be strictly on the single player. They'll do the GT Online afterwards. So many people that I know that didn't start with GT Online because that's another thing. There are two type of people when it comes to Rockstar games. This includes Red Dead. Some people just love playing the online and doing random assortment of stuff
Mm-hmm.
on that stuff. Same with GTA. But most of that portion, I want to say most of the people that bought the game initially played it for the single player, right? Because
Yeah.
remember, Rockstar story modes are massive, and then there's an insane amount of side stuff to do in the game. So yeah, I think GT Online might crash, but very few people. The small portion of people that are going to complain about it is not going to be big, right? They're not going to say I'm refunding this game because GT Online doesn't work. They're just going to be like, all right, well, the shit is overloaded. I'm going to hop onto the story mode for now.
Right. Yeah, people would take advantage of that and just finish the story, get it over with, get used to
Yeah,
the
exactly,
mechanics.
exactly. Get the story mode over with, and then hop on the online later. Like me, for instance, I don't see myself playing GTA Online until like day 4, day 5.
Did you play a lot of
Because
GTA Online?
I played a lot of GTA Online. I think I want to say like towards the end of the original launch, and that's when people started figuring out like the money glitches. Mostly once the money glitches started getting figured out, then that's when I hopped on.
Okay.
Because yeah, playing the game without money, especially online, is just not good.
Right.
So you need money, and I remember when that game first launched, the missions didn't give you much money, so like there just was no reason to play online.
Mm-hmm.
But once they had like people started discovering money glitches, then it was like, all right, let's do these money glitches. Spend like 5 hours grinding money glitches, and now we can start buying the cars, customizing the cars or whatnot.
Yeah, I remember.
So
There was a exploit that we used to use when we used to go and do the runs, the drug lab runs, where we used to lower our MTU on the PS4 to I think it was like
Oh yeah.
750. And what it would do is like you're playing online, right? So like it would basically give you your own private lobby. Like nobody could nobody's in your game, so you can just go and do all the missions without nothing like nothing's happening.
Yeah, without somebody bothering blowing you up.
Yeah, but that kind of made it boring a little bit too, right? The fact that you kind of had to do that to like get an advantage to like maybe try to catch up to what's going on around you in the real game. I don't know, man. Like I just think that GTA Online, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. Like it has its moments, right? But I think that if you're not trying to make content out of it, like I just think that the grind is very boring. Like why would you want to do that? And simulate real life when you could just go outside. Obviously, there's things you can't do, but the time investment is very large, and I think that it gets kind of stale.
It depends on what you're looking for the game, though, right? Like,
Yeah,
if you're in a group of people, like you hop in GTA Online with like a friend of 5 people, like just doing dumb shit. The shit is fun, mostly because you're with friends. You're chopping it up. You're messing around, right?
yeah,
If you're online by yourself, then it becomes a bit more repetitive, right? I think this is where, like me, I didn't, like I said, I didn't really play GTA Online, especially after the Xbox One version came out, the PS4 version. I didn't really care for it anymore. But I remember I put in a good amount of time in Red Dead Online, mostly for the achievements, and Red Dead Online had a lot of side stuff to do. So I expect GTA 6 to be like that, where it has its own story mode, basically also online for your custom character, if you will. But then that type of stuff will be also enjoyable with the more people you have, right? And then you can start doing random races and whatnot.
yeah. Seth, what do you think?
Hmm.
How do you feel
Well,
about all the GTA stuff, man? How do you feel about, you know, the game overall? Like time investment, online.
oh
What do you
yeah,
think?
I agree with what he said. I think that he's right. I mean, I actually enjoy playing. When I was playing with you or Baki, whoever whoever was online. But myself, it was boring, man. It was like I didn't know what to do. Then I started doing the whole um what they used to call when you put on the white gloves. You go around, you start shooting people for no reason. I mean, that got old pretty quick. With a jet or the oppressor, right? The oppressor that
Yeah.
was fun for a little bit, and after a while, it just got boring. It's just I don't know. I liked I liked the online, and I think I did actually. To be honest with you, I think I actually skipped the story in the beginning just to do the online. And then I did go back and then do this half of the story, and I went back online, and I don't even really remember what else happened. But I did get the game in different on the different versions. I never got it for PC though, because
Mm-hmm.
I was always afraid of like getting like the when they dump a whole money and then Rockstar bans you. I didn't want to deal with that, so I always stayed on console. Um, but I never ran into like a big mod or whatever. I never really ran into those guys. Um, but yeah, I actually, I don't know, I actually enjoyed it. I did put a lot of times. I got I think I showed it right. I got the stupid submarine. I think at one point, and I was just grinding the game. I was just doing all the stupid stuff that they had going on. I even think I think I was stupid enough, and I bought the yacht too for some dumb reason, and I just never used to just chills there. That was also dumb. So yeah, I had fun with it. I really enjoyed it. I don't know. I never thought nothing bad about it. I didn't like the shot. I didn't like when they nerfed the money a lot. Like if you had a mission, it was really cool, and they just nerfed it because I would just keep repeating the same mission over and
Yeah.
over. Like the what was that island we were doing, Kailio Heist, I think
Yeah.
that was called, or something. I mean that was great to make money, and then they nerfed it. And then they put a timer on it or something stupid. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
what the heck are they doing? And then they just killed it. And I think that's when I bought the final jet. I forgot what it was called. What's that new jet that they put? It's like not the Harrier, but it would look like that Raptor, whatever the heck it was called. Whatever. I bought that thing, and that was it. And I think that's when I hang the towel when I was done.
So you're looking forward to GTA 6 online at least. You do
Yeah,
you
yeah. I
do
want to
see
see how crazy
yourself.
it is.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully they put the oppressor. Get people to curse you out a little bit, and then you just go lobby jumping and piss people off a little bit more,
Just
and
troll
then get
people.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was fun. Hopefully I get the white gloves.
We'll see, man. Like I don't know. I think the game's supposed to release this year apparently, right? So I think we're gonna look at what maybe an October release. What do you guys think?
I think November is more likely.
November. What do you think, Seth?
Yeah, close to the holidays, November. Yeah, I agree. November, December,
Like
around there, close to
mid-November,
Christmas stuff.
mid-November probably before Thanksgiving probably. So everybody's home watching the game, playing the game and shit together. Everybody's seeing this modern marvel of gaming. You know, what do you guys think?
Probably.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. I
They'll
don't
have
know.
a Christmas event, so you get another Gooch outfit.
Maybe. I just know that if it's $100, I know I'm not buying it. So hopefully it's not
Bro,
$100.
buy two of them.
I'm telling you, it's not gonna be $100, bro.
Bro, if they do some stupid shit like that, bro, I'm not buying it.
It's not gonna be $100, bro.
Just tell
It's gonna be 70. It's gonna be 70 because
it has to be 70.
that's
bro.
basically what the market is for the main console at the moment.
Hey man, Nintendo's saying otherwise right now, bro.
Bro,
Yeah, but
minus the
Nintendo's always
Super
done its own thing.
Let's see what happens, man. I agree with you, man. I want it to be $70. I just hope that that's what they do. You know, they don't take advantage of the position that they're in. You know, and maximize their profits because of it. You know, I hope they don't do anything stupid like that. That'd be fucked up. You know, it'd be really stupid.
Nah, like I said, I think Nintendo is similar to Rockstar in their mentality. Is they do their own thing, right? I know Rockstar already knows it's in a place where they're basically untouchable, right? When it comes to how their games sell.
Yeah.
I don't think they had like a flop for a major title in the last 30 years. So yeah, I think they're gonna put it to whatever the other stuff is. I think you'll see a $90 version for like a special edition because GTA 4 and GTA 5 also launched with like 3 different versions.
Yeah.
That's more likely where you're gonna see like $90 version, $150 version, stuff like that. But base game by itself is probably gonna be $70.
I hope so. You know, I hope you're right. I really do. You know, because if it's not, man, it's pretty shitty. You know, but we'll have to see. You know, we'll have
Bro,
to see.
Super Edition, $300. Let's go. Come on, man.
I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see, man. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the last one. Right, the last topic, which is a topic that I think our friend Sorrow here is going to be very interested in discussing. This topic here, I think, is very interesting. Not only because to change to a game that is over 25 years old, but I think it really depends on how you want to approach it, because I think in a way it's a good thing, but in a way it's also a bad thing, and I kind of want to explain what's going on. So this game, right, Capcom Fighting Collection 2, right, it's as it says right there, it's a collection of classic video games, classic fighting games from the late 90s into the early 2000s. And what's going on right now with this game and what's going on with the community around it is the following. As you see on the screen, it says here that the EO version standard is going to be the standard that is used to play this game competitively online in ranked mode. Now, for those of you watching that don't know anything about this, there is a video that I found that I kind of want to put on, that I want to share here. It's by a gentleman by the name of Silent Scope. He is renowned for his ability in this game, right? He is a legend, I would say, in this game for the most part, right? Most people would consider him that. Sorrow, you that are very familiar with this game, would you consider this gentleman a legend in the game?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well versed.
Exactly. So I want to play what he's going to talk about, and then I want to go into what you think about what he's saying and what this all means. Sorrow. So I'm going to play his segment. He's going to talk about the differences in the standard version, the arcade version, the arcade ROM, and what they did to ranked mode for this release.
So to cap things off, I guess I can do a quick splurge on. Do you want me to give you a big splurge on like the tiers, quote unquote, of gurus if this became a thing? If people are asking, well, what about the meta? No one knows what the meta of actual EO looks like because, like I said, no one played this. No one played this competitively. No one played it competitively when it came out, and no one plays it competitively now. So there's no reason that there's a rank system for it, because no one's trying to get good at it, right? No one's trying to get good at EO. If you want to see supposedly what the meta would look like, our best guess of what the meta would look like, if we look at a Japan tournament at an arcade where they decided they're going to do a no roll cancel event, right? Now, granted, it doesn't have P-Groove cancels and doesn't have a little bit of the changes, but it gives us an idea. I want you to read this bottom here with me. Yeah, I'll make this bigger. Yoink! I want you to read this bottom. CVS2 monthly event at Big One. No RC. What's the next thing? No K. No roll cancel, no K groove. Inaba Boxer, I know, right? It's back when Inaba was still playing Boxer. The reason being is because in the meta now, with roll cancel being this thing that destroys the game, because you'll see like, oh, I think roll cancel ruined the game. K groove is still top tier with roll cancels. Bar far none. The only groove that matches it at current meta with roll cancels is A groove. But most will put K slightly above A, and I can see that too, because K is just simple to get into. A groove requires execution and a lot more thought and a lot more execution. Did I say execution twice? I did. A lot more execution and a lot more thought to play at a high level, right? K groove, you jump in, you play K Sagat, you get some just defense, and you hit some hits confirms, you're doing fine, right? Anti-air. Roll cancel, K groove is still godlike. A groove drops. So only thing you're going to find is K groove CBS throughout the entire thing. If you want to know what meta is going to look like, for the most part, top tier is going to be K groove, Cammy, Blanca, Sagat. It's
Hold on.
You just see A's and K's
What was that, bro?
dominating. I said this in the WhatsApp earlier, right? Like removing roll canceling, you're just gonna see a bunch of A groove and K groove dominating everything.
Well, before we get to that, bro, for those people that don't understand what's going on, can you explain to them why people feel the way they feel about this now and how it impacts the game? What can you tell them in a basic way for them to understand?
The basic way is Capcom is trying to change a standard that has been played for more than 2 decades at this point.
Okay, and what's that standard?
The arcade version, I think it was version 1, right?
Okay.
It has specific technique, in this case roll canceling, which he was talking about, which is canceling the roll into a special, which makes you safe from certain things, buttons, fireballs, what have you, right? But it's something we've all adjusted and adapted to playing for 20 plus years at this point.
Okay.
And them removing it, that just makes it a whole new game.
Okay. And you feel that the reason that they're doing this is because of what?
I'm actually not sure what their reasoning is. Like, people argue that the reasoning is to get newer players in or whatnot, but newer players have been watching, at least the ones that are interested in the game, will have been watching the tournament standard, which is the original version.
Mm-hmm.
So to them, that's like a whole different game as well. Like they wouldn't even understand it, and if they try to imitate their favorite player, they're just not going to be able to anyways. So I'm not exactly sure who this version is for, if I'm honest.
And do you think that the change, or I'm sure you think, but can you explain why this change completely presents a new game to you?
It's a whole new game. They nerf certain characters, they nerf certain techniques. It's just a different game. It's what he talks about, right? Like the meta is unknown to most players because they've never seen this version of the game being played in tournament standard. But he did point out, right, that they buffed P Groove, but that's irrelevant because K Groove is still insane, right? K Groove is insanely strong. In that groove, and some of the characters that were like less viable are still going to be doing ridiculous damage, right? Like role canceling actually helped certain low characters be viable. It's just that the top tiers remain the top tiers, and that's basically the same thing now, right? Nothing's really going to change except it's going to be less diverse now because all you're just going to see is A and K.
And would
At
you
least before
say,
you might see C.
and would you say that, you know, if you don't ban role canceling, then basically you don't have anything else to ban except for the super characters, right? The unlockables.
But yeah, and that's the thing, right? A lot of people don't realize that super characters are actually just banned because they were not in the arcade version. Those were console only exclusive characters, right?
Right. So,
But then it didn't take long before people found
yeah, and
dumb infinites.
and like I said, if those aren't even allowed to be used, and there's nothing else to ban, and if you don't ban role canceling, right? Because if you ban role canceling, then you now have to also ban the K groove.
Yeah, exactly, and that's now you're banning an entire group, which is insane.
Right. So now instead of banning nothing, now you're banning two things.
But the thing is, you're not banning anything. In the EO version, the K groove is just going to dominate everything.
Right.
If your whole
what I'm
purpose
saying
of
is that the reason that's the thing, that because of that they have to ban it, right? It's like it's so much, like in like the example that he's giving, where they said, okay, we'll run the EO version, but we have to ban well, there's no role canceling, right? And now we have to ban the K groove.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Capcom is not going to do that. That's what I'm saying. Like it makes no sense on who this was for, right? That video that he's showing, he's talking about I think a Japanese tournament, right? Where they ban role canceling and K groove because they also understand that if you just ban role canceling, there's no reason not to use any other group. Just stick to K and kill somebody with one combo.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like this version just makes no sense. It doesn't. I don't understand who it was for, right? Like they don't seem to have a clear direction on who this version is for. Like, if it's to get new players in, where are these new players going to come from?
Yeah.
Are they going to travel to play this game? And then what's going to happen when they show up to a local TO who's running the old version? They're going to play a whole different game.
Yeah. Now, what do you think about that? Like, what do you think that in terms of like just gaming in general, where developers can now go back and make these changes to older games? Like, do you see that happening for more games? I mean, it's happened, especially with Capcom lately, with their collections. But how do you feel about that? Do you think that could be a good thing eventually for other games, or how do you feel about the ability that they have now?
No. The thing is, when, like, let's say Street Fighter 3, right? That's a game that's been re-released so many times. It's usually just different with like input lag, but the few versions like Online Decision that had a difference in meter, that makes the game different, right? Nobody's enjoying these changes. If you start removing certain things, the players that are meant to buy this game are not going to buy it.
Right.
So you're just upsetting your own consumer base. Like trying to change an old game that's already set in stone, let's say, like a standard that's already set, it just doesn't carry well, right? Nobody's gonna buy it. New players are gonna hear older players saying there's no point in even buying this game, and they're just not gonna buy it.
Because nobody's gonna play it.
Exactly, because nobody's gonna play it. What's the point of you hopping into an old game to play with somebody when there's nobody to play with?
So, do you feel that companies shouldn't make these changes to older games because it destroys the nostalgia of the game?
It's not even nostalgia. It's literally destroying the game. It's not the same game anymore. It's like saying I'm releasing CVS2, but I'm gonna remove everything that made CVS2 and call it CVS2. It's not the same game. It's an entirely new game.
Even if it's for improving it.
But then make it a new game, like Street Fighter 2 did, right? They released Ultra Street Fighter 2. That's a new game in the base of an old game, but it's its own game, right?
Right. And
Street Fighter 2 players are not gonna say they changed my game. They understand it's a new game, but it plays like Street Fighter 2. But it's its own game. So if you want to do something like that, then nobody would complain, right? Like if they released CVS2 Super in this collection, they'd be like, all right, this is a more balanced version of CVS2, and nobody would complain as long as the original tournament standard version is there.
Seth,
I think that's the better way to go about it.
Let me get Seth's opinion. Seth, what do you think about, in this case, what's going on with Capcom, but in general, like, what do you think of that happening in the future, where companies may go back and make balance changes to games? How do you feel about that, man? Do you think that's a cool thing? Do you think that's something that destroys the game for what it was and what it represented? And what do you think, man? Like, do you think that's something that you would like to see, or you think that's something that, it's probably just, you know, something to do just because, like, just to be like trendy or something, or what do you think?
Um, I think I don't know much about like the fighting game scene and stuff that much, but I do know that there were been other games that been affected by something like this. The company will go back and do like an update, like a stealth update or some weird update in the background, either server side or something, and it does change the game. Like people are so accustomed to the game to play a certain way, and I think once they do that, they create this. I don't know. Usually when they do these patches or nerves, usually they do ruin the flow of the game. I think, and people who are accustomed to it, they it just, I don't know how to put it really, but I know I'm trying to remember the game that affected it. It was a big game, and this company went ahead and they did an update to this one specific game, and it pissed everybody off
I
because
think wasn't it Destiny?
I think maybe it was Destiny. I think so,
Yeah,
right?
it
They
was
did
Destiny.
something.
Yeah, yeah, they changed the game and everybody went nuts.
And everybody get flipped out about it, and they went ahead and just did it just for the heck of it. And then I don't even think they even justified it. I think they just said, they were like, whatever, and they just went ahead and did it. So I don't know. I don't like when they do that. I think if a game, that already has this little player base and people like how it is, it's already old, it's just chilling there. I don't think they should go back and just try to like retrofit their ideas. Um, I think Diablo 2 also did it too to some stuff regarding rune words. I think they nerfed like the grief and all that, with Blizzard. I
Mm-hmm.
think they did that too for Diablo 2 as well. They started nerfing some stuff here and there because it was too powerful. But I mean, these items were there for so long, and people got so accustomed for their build and this and that, and they just went and did it. And the games already was set in stone. People knew like, oh man, this is what I need for my build, and they went and did it, and they just ruined the whole rhythm of the person's enjoyment, right? Because this is what you're expected. This is the class or the bill you want to do, and it just ruins everything. So now you have to like either theory craft or something, figure something out what works or whatever, or you have to reform for something, and it just sucks. But yeah, for me, I don't like it. I think if the game has been that way and people are accustomed to it, leave it alone. Don't touch it. If it's not broken, don't
Mm-hmm.
touch it. I mean, that's just how it is. That's how I feel about it. But I know there's another side of folks that say, well, it brings the game back to life and all that stuff. But anyway, like it was said, but who are them? Who's the audience, right? Who's the ones that the people the people who are playing the game, right? It's not for them. So who is it for, right? Just like you guys stated. So
Yeah, exactly. Because like the people that played those games, like they were playing it back then. So like those people, they're the ones that kept the game alive. So like now you're gonna have newer people come in. Like, are they really going to? I don't know, man. Like I don't mean to say this in a negative way, but is it for the posers that are just coming in, or like what's going on? You understand what I'm saying? Like, because like you said, especially with Diablo, right? Like they were nerfing the rune words. Like, what's the point of nerfing rune words if everyone that's played the game since it came out know that it worked this way and this is what to expect and this is just what it is? It's 1+1. Why are you making it 3 now? So like, I don't know. I kind of agree with that assessment, right? That in that aspect, going back and changing things like that. Um, you know, who is it really for? you know, yeah, you're trying to bring new people into the game, but like if you're trying to bring new people into the game, why not just let them play the old version? What's wrong with it? Like, I understand that maybe now you're able to make changes with technology that you have available to you that you can go back and do this, but like if people have been keeping it alive in this form or fashion, just keep it like that. Right? Like, or at least I think in this instance with with the problem that's going on with this game is the problem is not the version that's there. The problem is that this is the version that's being used for something that people care about, which is ranked. Right? I mean, nobody really cares about this EO version of CVS2 to the point where like it's gonna affect them if it's available on the actual disc or on the game, right? Nobody really cares. Like they'll just ignore it, right? They'll just overlook it and they'll just keep going with what they're doing. But the problem that has become is that it seems as though Capcom is trying to force people to play this version of the game in a competitive fashion because they've added it as ranked, which is crazy because the only competitive version that people have been playing is the original arcade and the Dreamcast versions, right? I mean, PS2 version has also been used many times, but the standard is if you can get the Dreamcast version or arcade, then you play that. So now they're trying to force people, right, into playing a whole different version as a competitive standard, and that's so weird. Because, like I said, you know, if you're gonna make changes like to a game, like an old game, cool, you know, as long as there's another version, like for example in Diablo where you have ladder, right? Where, you know, okay, you could play ladder with the old rune word setup, or you could play it with the new changes or stuff, whatever. But they're not doing that here. Here, they're only forcing you to play that version online, which, you know, like we saw, nobody plays that version, and I just think that's interesting because in a way, I feel that it forces people to approach the game in a different way without abusing maybe the top tiers, I guess. But I think that it's hard to market the game like that because nobody knows that game. So, like, everybody that's ever been interested in playing this game knows it for what they've seen already in the past 25 years. So I think that if they choose to only make it this version, then it's going to turn a lot of people off because nobody's really going to want to play it. And it's not like, for example, Street Fighter Alpha 3, right, where crouch canceling is something that a lot of people use, but I think that, in my opinion, I think removing it makes the game better because now you can't abuse it. And, you know, to me, I don't know. Like I'm an Alpha 3 player, right? So I like Alpha 3. So and I play Aism, so I don't even use crouch canceling. But I'm the type of player that, you know, if I'm gonna play against you, like I don't want you to use anything cheap against me. Play me. Like play me. You know what I'm saying? Don't abuse the game, but play me. So I think that not being there, especially for ranked, is great. Because now you're gonna have to play me, and people are gonna have to play each other without having to rely on such a mechanic. But in this instance, you know, and the one thing I do want to say about Alpha 3 that people don't understand is that Alpha 3 Upper, people knock on it, but it was actually very popular in Japan because it was more of a Japanese release. So that was actually a standard over there. So I think that's actually a good thing for people that play Alpha 3. But what they did with this game, CVS2, is actually counterproductive. Because, like we were saying with Sorrow, now two things are being removed, right? There's no roll canceling, and now there's no K groove. So why not just leave roll canceling then? And then everything just balances itself because of it. I feel like roll canceling adds a balance. Sorrow, would you agree with that? Like, does roll canceling actually add to the balance in a positive way?
It doesn't necessarily add to balance. It just made certain lower tier characters a bit more viable. But the problem is the mechanic helped everybody, right? So that means a top tier just became better. Yeah, exactly. It's useful, but yeah, exactly. But top tiers definitely benefited more than a lower tier character, right?
Of course, but it's available for everyone to use. So if you can learn to use a top tier, then
exactly
good for you, right? So that's the thing. Like I think the way it turned out for Alpha, for example, in this case, in my opinion, I'm actually in favor of it because I think it makes the game a lot based on skill than just an exploit, right? because there's only one ism that's gonna abuse it, right? But in this case, I think that the fact that people are being forced to play a version of a game that nobody really ever plays, and I think only came out on the Xbox and the GameCube.
Yeah, the Xbox and the GameCube, and the Xbox actually had online on it.
Yeah, and that people did play, right? I did hear that. A lot
Yeah,
of
that
people did
yeah,
play,
people a lot of the I played that shit.
but it was closed off, right, from everyone else, right? Because
Xbox only. Yeah, Xbox only.
because
And honestly, like a lot of people did play it, but I always felt that, at least in my personal opinion, it was just so people can like play with their custom colors, right? Because that version of Xbox had like the color slider,
mhm.
so people would just be making up all crazy colors and just hopping online and just showing off their colors.
Yeah, like it was more like the scene was a little different, right? Because they knew
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you couldn't treat it as a competitive game because it wasn't a competitive setting.
Exactly.
So people would just
Exactly.
enjoy it.
Exactly. I never really felt like I was leveling up in the game. It always felt like I would hop on and see people with these crazy colors. Like Nude Mai was very popular online in that one. Like the all skin colored Mai, that was incredibly popular. Or like the black fireballs or the crazy colored fireballs. Like that would be very popular on. But I never felt like people were hopping on to properly enjoy the game, let's say, or learn the game.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, like I think this approach is very odd. Um, I don't know. I think they're maybe expecting people to embrace it as a way to experience the game in, I don't know, a different way, maybe to refresh the scene in a way, but you can't force people to play something that they don't want to play. And that's the problem. The problem is that there's so many people that have been dedicated so many years to the original, ROM version, that to force them to play this version ranked, where a lot of people might be looking forward to it because maybe now they can grind the rank, just like yeah, I know people for sure, when they play games like Street Fighter and they achieve their rankings, right, whether it's master and up, right, then they have a sense of pride in that. And I think that a lot of people were looking forward to that for this release, and the fact that they ruined it by using another version of the game that nobody plays, like, is kind of deflating. Like like me, man. Like I'm happy, like I said, with Alpha. I look forward to playing as much as I can, and working on the rank. But if they took that away from me, and then all of a sudden they did something that ruins that experience, man, like I really wouldn't want to play the game. And I think it's kind of silly that they did that, but I don't know. I think at the end of the day, I think with the kind of response that the community is given Capcom, I think there will be a day one balance patch about that. Like they'll change that. They'll do something where they'll let you change it. What do you think, Sora? You think they're gonna do that?
Honestly, I think it's gonna come before day one. I didn't see that until I hopped on the computer, but somebody posted it in the WhatsApp. The Latin Street Fighter thing was the Maximilian was complaining about how do they add and fix that issue in the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, where they add like the different versions of X-Men vs. Street Fighter. Now they added the proper tournament standard, but then literally in the next tweet they put CVS2 doesn't have the tournament standard for rank. So it just seems like very like they're not on the same team or the same page
Right.
for both games. So I honestly expect, especially nowadays where there are people that have like an early copy, I expect a patch to come out even before the official launch date that will remedy the situation.
Yeah. Day one, it'll be day one patch.
Exactly. Yeah, day one patch basically. Like whoever hops on downloads it digital, they'll never even see this version.
Yeah, I think so too. But yeah, I think that's an interesting approach for a lot of companies. But like what Seth was saying, what with Diablo as a great example, I remember he brought that up to me. They did that to Enigma, right? Was it Enigma, bro?
It was the Enigma and some other stuff. I think also there was a flank. Remember, they gave you the shout war cry for buffs for the Hammered In, and everybody were rocked. I think they nerfed that too. And
Oh
also,
yeah.
and then the Enigma too. I think they lowered a bunch of weird stuff.
See, like that's crazy, man. Like I think I think doing that is just a little extreme. Like I think it actually hurts the project. Like if you were remastering a game, then you start messing with the remaster of a game, then you kind of kill your game, right? Like you're not giving me a remaster of a game, you're giving me a microwaved reheating of a game that nobody really wants to try. So I don't know, man. Like I just think that at the end of the day, I think these developers, they need to be mindful of that, right? They need to be more in touch with their communities and understand that certain things should just stay a certain way, right? If you don't want to upset people and you want them to keep playing your game and you want people to make content out of your game, I think you need to be more in touch with that, right? And know what people are going to tolerate and what they're not. Just my opinion. What do you guys think? You guys have any last remarks before we close it up?
Not really. I mean, it's what we talked about, right? They know that this was probably gonna upset people. I'm not sure exactly what the plan really was behind this. I think they see the outrage now, and whoever was in charge of that is probably gonna be like, yeah, that was a mistake. I'd expect this to be changed pretty fast, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just the only thing to do. Seth, what do you think? Closing out, what do you think of this topic? Outside looking in, right? Because like you said, you don't really know too much about what's going on with the fighting games these days, but you've played your fair share of fighting games back in the day for sure. So like, how do you feel about that?
Get good. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, yeah, I agree with what you guys said. I mean, I think if the community keeps, I think if the community is vocal and the developers are open-minded and they can see what what people want, I think usually they'll do the good thing and change it. Sometimes I think when they're bullheaded, they're not gonna do it. But if the community is like vocal about it, and I think they can direct their, I wouldn't say their anger, but their ideas and stuff like, hey, you guys need to reverse this because this sucks. I think they'll listen, and I think also the fighting community is also a lot more. I don't know. I think they're more organized, compared to other genres and stuff. Compared to other games and stuff. You know what I mean? I think they're more they're definitely more organized. I notice when it comes to like their games. So I think when they're vocal about something, usually they do apply those changes, for to keep their games alive. Because I mean, it's not like an RPG game, right? It's not, it's more like fighting is more like more personal, right? Like you're, either next to the guy or you're talking to the guy. You know what I'm saying? It's like a more personal experience, and I think they want to keep that because if they lose that, what do you have, right? It'd be a dead game, right? The dead fighting game. So
Yeah.
I think they'll do the right thing. I think.
Yeah, you brought in a good point, and that's kind of like what's been going on. I'm not sure if you're aware, but that's like kind of what's been going on with Tekken. I mean,
Yeah.
Tekken right now, bro. Like, and I know you're, my boy Seth, man. He doesn't play Tekken really anymore, but back in the day, man, that was joint, and
Yeah, Tekken, yeah.
now, dude, like what they did, man. Like, I can't even really explain it, but like, maybe Sorrow, you can probably explain it a little bit better than I can, man. Can you kind of fill my boy in with what's going on with the Tekken scene?
The best way to explain it would be with the Doom conversation, right? You're excited for a new Doom. Instead, now the next Doom is called Doom. It kind of looks like Doom, but then you play the game and it's Call of Duty. That'd be basically what happens to Tekken right now.
Damn.
Like, they changed the game. They changed the entire identity of the game, and yeah, the community's not happy about that.
Yeah, like it's really bad, man. Like people are saying, they're gonna retire from playing Tekken until the next one comes out, probably, and it's pretty bad, man. Like,
Damn.
Yeah, like world champions are actively saying they're happy they're not playing the game at the moment.
yeah,
It's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad, and and mind you, this is an instance where nobody knew this was gonna happen. They just got the patch, and next thing you knew, the whole community is like surprised, and it's quite the opposite, right, of what we were discussing just now, where you're following up with community to see what they want. It's literally quite the opposite, and what we're seeing now is something that I never thought I'd see for a game like Tekken. I never expected that, not like this. I felt Tekken, overall, it's a pretty, cool, quirky game. Like it's kind of goofy, so people like it, and I think and that goofiness, like they kind of like embrace each other, and they kind of look out for each other, and I think what they did was kind of like destroyed that type of relationship that the fans had with the developer, where they really, would praise, these developers and stuff, like these guys were like untouchable almost in a way, right? And now, with what they did and, just the sudden shock of it, it's like, holy shit, like, yo, you guys are fucking dumb. What the fuck did you guys do? And I'm just shocked, I'm just really shocked at it, and it goes to show, what happens when you listen to the community and when you don't, and hopefully, at least with what's going on with Capcom and the fighting collection that's coming out, hopefully, enough noise is made by the community where, Capcom does the right thing, because honestly, I don't really have a problem with it, honestly, at the end of the day, because it doesn't affect me, because I'm not necessarily interested in playing CVS2 at that capacity. I like the game, don't get me wrong. I think it's an awesome game, but I'm more interested in playing, say, Alpha 3 upper ranked competitive. But I think that, people that feel that it's the wrong version are absolutely right, because, they're the ones that have been keeping the game active for so long that, at the end of the day, they should be heard, and they should be appreciated, because, if it wasn't for them doing it, then why would they even make a collection anyway? What would be the point? The game would be dead, right? No, there wouldn't be a community to put it out for. But the fact that there is, they should be heard. And, that's just what I think, man. Anyway, you guys, anything else you guys want to say before we head on out?
No, I'm good, man. I'm gonna YouTube that thing now. It sounds pretty interesting. I didn't know the tech community went south like that.
Oh yeah,
They
yeah,
went belly
yeah.
up. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a lot of videos going around it, but yeah, that was like the best way to explain it. Was they changed the entire game, and to be fair, that's actually happened to a lot of other fighting games. It's just other scenes kind of just took it. The Tekken community kind of just went nuts though,
Yeah.
and I don't blame them. Honestly, I think that's what the other communities should have done, but these other games had way more money behind them, so they kind of just took the hit on that one.
Yeah, I think you should check it out, bro. I think it's very interesting, man. Like, just the whole dynamic of it, man. Like, wow, what the hell happened? Like, how did this happen? Like, I don't know. They're still trying to figure it out, honestly, man. Like, I think they had a emergency patch. I don't know if it came out.
It's about to come out in like a week or two or something.
So yeah, I mean, they have to have an emergency patch, and it's only 2 weeks away. So it kind of goes to show you where they're at right now. Because if it was
So those dudes are scrambling.
yeah, because because if it was an emergency, it'd be already out, right? Because that patch came that patch that screwed the game out came out like a week ago.
No, like 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah, exactly. So like, they're kind of behind on that, so it's really interesting to see how this is going to affect the game going forward, right? And how people are going to feel about it competitively, because, it's not August, it's April. I'm sorry, mid-April. So you can expect that patch to come out in May, right? So, or at least in April, early May, if there aren't any delays. And Tekken World Tour, that's supposed to be kicking off anytime soon, I think. And then you have Evo and all that stuff. Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to look really bad. So, I don't know, man. Like, they need to figure something out, and they need to do it quick. And I think a lot of people I don't know, man. Like, I just think Tekken 8, I think it's a cool game. It looks amazing. But there's been a lot of, like, things. Well, not a lot. I don't want to say a lot of things, but there have been things that people have been really upset about. This being the biggest, right? But also, remember when they had the issue where they sold a stage, and people thought it was like included with the
season pass
edition?
thing.
Yeah. So that, and there's been a lot of like store items and stuff, like, so they're counting on microtransactions. They're making money off of this. So I think the fact that that they have these things there, and they have these items in their store, and you can see the microtransactions, you can see what's going on, and that they're making money from this stuff, And the fact that they're doing that and then they do what they did and they drop a patch like that, I think it's fucking crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like you guys are making money on the on the back end from the microtransactions, and then you just pull some dumb shit like this, man. Like, yo, we're giving you extra money because we're buying the fucking items because we want to look cool in your stupid fucking game, and yo, you do this. This is crazy. I don't know, man. Like, that's just mind-boggling, I think. But they'll fix it, because they have no choice but to fix it because there's so many more years left in the game. So I'm just interested in seeing and how long it'll take for things to turn around and for the community to want to go back to playing the game, because they could fix it, but that doesn't mean that people are going to want to go back to playing it because you already kind of showed them your hand and what you're capable of doing. So you kind of broke the trust factor. So you can expect them to feel a certain way about you if they come back, right? They just know that at some point you may pull some shit like that again, so I don't know. Tekken's in a really weird spot right now. You should definitely look into it, Seth. You'll be like, holy shit, what the fuck's going on? I was shocked. I was like, what? I didn't even want to say nothing about it because I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. Like, it's just so crazy. Like what do you even say? But we'll see. But anyway, I hope you guys had a good time. Seth, Sorrow, I appreciate you guys coming on the show. It's been a minute since we've revived Gamer's Opinion, but I think we might start pulling this up a little bit more, if anything, if you guys are down. So for everyone watching, Seth, sorry, you guys want to say your goodbyes. Anything where you can be found, where people can check you out, what you guys got going on?
Let your man speak first, man. He was here first.
Go ahead, bro.
Oh no, I'm good, man. I'm just a floater, man. I'll just be like ghosting around. So, but I appreciate, hey, nice meeting you, man. Appreciate, man, talking and stuff.
Word.
And thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it, man. Like always.
So, Aro, go ahead, bro.
Nah, man, same thing, man. Just let me know when I'm always down to chop it up, talk about games and shit.
Yeah. Hopefully, yeah, because over here at Gamer's Opinion, man, we just talk about whatever we feel like, man. We just talk about games and how we feel that the industry's going and the direction of a certain game. If it's gonna suck, if we think it's gonna suck, then we just say it, and that's it.
Word.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. It's been a pleasure, and hope to see you soon. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. Long weekend coming up for a lot of you, so be safe out there. Peace.
Later.